It certainly feels like there's been a problem with the MCU in recent years, especially following the events of Avengers Endgame, which felt like the natural conclusion to the entire MCU. At least I personally felt that that would have been a good spot to end it, but they continued on with things, and I don't necessarily begrudge them for that, but it seems like after Endgame, they didn't really have a plan what they're going to be doing moving forward. Maybe a loose idea of what they wanted to do, but everything that's come out since then almost feels like they're just throwing something on the wall and seeing what sticks. And the problem is most things just haven't seemed to be landing. They have the occasional hit, but most of them I think have been misses. It's gotten to the point where they're actually losing so much money that they're trying to reduce the output of MCU content in order to try to pinch pennies and make some dramatic moves in order to try to regain the audience. And that's kind of what we're getting at today with the story. Chris Evans returning to Marvel for Avengers Doomsday. Now, Chris Evans previously stated that he was done with the MCU, and that's why he was willing to actually pass on the shield, so to speak, to Anthony Mackie's character, who is now becoming Captain America after previously being the Falcon. But Chris Evans did also say in the past that he is open to returning to the MCU if things actually just seem to work out. He's not just going to do it just willy-nilly, so to speak, similar to the same sentiment that Robert Downey Jr. said, where he was like, okay, I'm done with the MCU, but then they offered him a huge check, and he's like, okay, I guess I'll come back. It's looking like Chris Evans is also coming back too, which is something I think Marvel needs. Not that they need him back specifically, but they need to try to regain their footing. So what better way to do that than to go back to the time when things were actually working out for them? This is coming from the Hollywood Reporter right here. After appearing in Deadpool and Wolverine, Chris Evans is dipping back in the Marvel Cinematic Universe once again for Avengers Doomsday. The Hollywood Reporter has confirmed Evans' longtime collaborator, the Russo brothers, who directed Evans in 4 films, are directing with Robert Downey Jr. playing Dr. Doom. The film has a release date of May 1st, 2026. And this is saying that he's going to be coming back for Avengers Doomsday. After that, they have Avengers Secret War. No word yet on whether or not this is just going to be a one-off movie, or even if it's just going to be a cameo, if he's going to have a significant role. And we don't even know what his role necessarily is going to be, because Robert Downey Jr. is coming back and they're saying he's going to be playing Dr. Doom. Other people speculate that maybe he'll be playing a variant of Dr. Doom and he'll also be playing Tony Stark. We'll have to find out. Chris Evans came back into the MCU with Deadpool and Wolverine playing Johnny Storm again, a role that he played in the early 2000s Fox Fantastic Four movies, which I thought was kind of a fun cameo. I don't expect him to return to play Johnny Storm again. So most likely if he does come back to the MCU, he'll either be a different character entirely, but most likely he'll probably be a variant of Steve Rogers' Captain America. The actor played Johnny Storm the Human Torch in Deadpool and Wolverine, reprising his role from a pair of Fantastic Four movies made by Fox in the 2000s. But he was best known for playing Steve Rogers, Captain America in the MCU, where he was a cornerstone of the universe. And I think that's a large reason why they're trying to bring him back, because that was the biggest problem for Marvel after the events of Endgame, because they pretty much sidelined their biggest draws and they tried to basically create a new Avengers team with the existing characters that they had, but it just hasn't seemed to be working. Yes, they haven't had any Avengers movies since then, but all the team up movies that they have done and all the character movies that they've done just haven't seemed to land with audiences, because the people that they have, I mean, well, the MCU in and of itself was pretty much created by B-list characters, and that's not to denigrate like Iron Man or Captain America or anyone like that, but let's face it, in the comic book industry, they were more their B-list characters, and they were able to elevate them to the A-list team. But after they got rid of them, they just don't seem to have that spark over at Marvel Studios right now to elevate their B-list characters into A-list status. So I think that's kind of why they're retreating back to the well to try to revitalize some of their old characters that they since got rid of, like Robert Downey Jr.'s character or Chris Evans' characters. It is unclear what capacity Evans would return or what role he would play, so I've already talked about that. Saying how he left the role in 2019. Where does this say? Evans was first cast in March 2010. Okay, I already got that. On the last day of filming Endgame in 2008, Evans shared a message, gratitude, tweeting, It was an emotional day to say the least. Playing this role over 8 years has been an honor to everyone in front of the camera, behind the camera, and in the audience. Thank you for the memories. Eternally grateful. So yeah, at the time he thought that he was done with the role, but no, he's coming back now. And like I was kind of saying, this almost indicates that Marvel Studios is trying to figure out what they're doing moving forward. And some of the good news that's kind of come out of there is there was announcements early on at the start of the year that there was a lot of layoffs over at Marvel Studios. And then it was later kind of speculated that a lot of the people, or at least according to some insider information, that a lot of the people that were being laid off were a lot of the more activist producer types who were trying to use the MCU projects to push agendas, something that has also kind of facilitated the downfall of the MCU, because no longer were they trying to make stuff that the audience would enjoy. They're trying to make stuff that pushes their own personal agendas, and getting rid of those people, I think, is a good sign, but it will be quite a while before we see the results of all this. Right now, Captain America, Brave New World doesn't look super promising. It's likely going to lose a lot of money. At best, the movie's probably going to be decent, but it's probably still going to lose money for the studio because it needs to make like $1.2 billion in order for them just to break even on it. So that's something I don't expect them to be able to do. But one of the things I've said when it comes to that movie is that I think they're willing to spend money on it because they're treating it almost like somewhat of an investment, where they want the return back to how the MCU used to be, where it was crowd pleasing movies. So if they can make Captain America Brave New World a decent movie that audience enjoy, even if they lose money on it, it would still regain a lot of goodwill. The question though is whether that's actually enough for them too, because we did see that when it come to Deadpool and Wolverine, where that was a highly successful movie, but I don't expect that to translate to Captain America Brave New World being successful either. And we also saw Deadpool and Wolverine came out following the Marvels, which was a historic flop for the studio, and still Deadpool and Wolverine was good. So it doesn't feel like a good movie is necessarily enough to bring back the audience. I think most audiences don't treat the MCU like a brand anymore like they used to, where in the past, before Endgame, every movie was almost treated like a part of the whole. Now it's not necessarily the case. Everyone's just kind of watching individual movies, and they'll watch a movie if they like the character, which is probably a large reason why they're willing to bring back Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans, because people like their characters. So maybe the hope is that if they're in the movie, then people will show up for it, kind of like having Hugh Jackman back as Wolverine in a Deadpool movie. Audiences were really excited to see that, and that's why Deadpool and Wolverine was the most successful Deadpool movie made out of the three that they did make. But I don't know if Captain America Brave New World is necessarily enough to get things going again. This article is talking about how maybe Deadpool and Wolverine will be that movie that kind of gets the ball rolling. I don't think that's going to be the case. Avengers Doomsday is supposed to come out in May 2026. If that's good, then I think that will get people excited to see Avengers Secret War when it comes out, and maybe the movies that they have in the intervening time will see somewhat of some excitement to it. But I don't think we're ever going to get back to the days of the MCU where they can put out whatever, any B-list, D-list character, and people will be excited to see it. I think those days are pretty much long gone, and even bringing back some of their legacy characters that they've since gotten rid of, I think could get people out to watch that particular movie. But if the word of mouth for that movie isn't good, or there's really just nothing much than a glorified cameo, then I don't think that's going to be enough to keep people going. So pretty much they need to do what most studios do, which is just make something good. And I think bringing back Chris Evans is an acknowledgement of that fact. But also it's kind of an acknowledgement that what they've been doing in the last 5 years just hasn't been working out for them, and that they need to go back to square one if they want to try to recapture that audience, which I think this is kind of a good sign if that's where their head is right now. It's just a matter of whether they have the people at the studio right now who can follow through with that. But let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. Do you think this is going to make a difference in the movie? Do you think you'd be more excited to see a movie if they brought back Chris Evans as Captain America or Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man? Or do you just not care at this time? Comment below, let me know. And also, if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with the latest entertainment news. And don't forget to click that like button and share this video out there because it really helps out with the channel. Thank you.